Hey everyone, CTNtechnologynews here, and today I'm doing a versus battle between the Nexus 5, Google's flagship smartphone, and Apple's iPhone 5S, their newest venture into the land of portable computers. Now, if you're on the fence about grabbing Apple's latest and arguably greatest smartphone in the hopes that something better might come along, here's how the Nexus 5 fares in comparison. Now, the first thing you'll probably notice about Nexuses is that the numerical suffix doesn't denote the amount of Nexus devices that came before it, but rather describes the size of the screen. In this case, the Nexus 5 should technically be called the Nexus 4.95, but that doesn't have a great ring to it. The 1920 by 1080 display packs 445 pixels per inch underneath a protective layer of Gorilla Glass 3. That display is packed into an 8.59mm thin body that weighs about 130 grams. Apple's iPhone 5S sports a 4-inch Retina display with an 1136 by 640 resolution that packs 326 pixels into every inch. This display is set into a 7.6mm body that weighs 112 grams. Now, the iPhone 5S will take up less room, but at the cost of a larger screen. Now, as for power, the Nexus 5 packs the oft-used Snapdragon 800 under the hood, clocked at 2.3 GHz, while the iPhone 5S uses the new 64-bit dual-core A7 processor clocked at 1.3 GHz, along with the M7 Motion coprocessor. The Nexus 5 comes in 16 and 32GB models, as does the iPhone 5S, but Apple does offer a 64GB version as well. Both smartphones sport Bluetooth 4.0, and both phones offer dual-band 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz 802.11 and Wi-Fi, and the Nexus 5 also supports 802.11 AC. The Nexus 5 also features 2GB of RAM, doubling the RAM offered in the iPhone 5S. Both Google and Apple claim their phones will really last for around 10 hours of use, but that number really depends on how often you use the phones. If you're running cutting-edge mobile games that regularly connect to the internet, your battery really won't last very long on either phone. Both phones have an 8-megapixel camera, but the Nexus 5 also has a 1.3-megapixel front-facing camera, whereas the iPhone 5S has a 1.2-megapixel front-facing camera. As for software, everyone knows what Android and iOS give by now, and that choice will more or less come down to personal preference. Apple's OS runs a little bit more smoothly and has more top-notch games available, but Google's OS is more open. The Nexus 5 will be running the new Candy-branded Android 4.4 KitKat, but considering that Apple recently released the new iOS 7, neither operating system will feel old, and the choice will largely come back to personal preference. The last aspect that comes down to personal preference is pricing. Off contract, the 16GB Nexus 5 will sell for $349, and the 32GB will sell for $399. The 16GB iPhone 5S sells for $199, the 32GB version sells for $299, and the 64GB version sells for $399. But those are all on contract. If you're going to purchase the iPhone 5S off contract, it is ridiculously expensive in my opinion. Apple charges like $650 unlocked, so if you're looking at getting a phone unlocked, definitely go with the Nexus 5. Now, with that said, if you're looking at getting it on contract, it's, I guess, more of a fair comparison. Now, overall, the Nexus 5 is arguably a more powerful phone with definitely a higher CPU clock speed and twice the RAM, and it also has a larger screen with more pixels per inch. However, the iPhone 5S employs the M7 Motion coprocessor, has larger storage capacity options, and the Touch ID fingerprint sensor. If you're in the market for an Android phone, the Nexus 5 appears to be the best one currently available. If you're more into Apple's iOS and letting your phone scan your fingers instead of having to type in a password, the iPhone 5S is the way to go. Now, if you're totally neutral about the whole thing, I do have to recommend the Nexus 5 over the iPhone 5S. I think it is a better phone overall, and Apple hasn't been particularly revolutionary with their new phones. It's more just been gradual upgrades, while Android does appear to be definitely, making big strides in terms of power and performance, and just they're even catching up in terms of their app store, so it's no longer such a big deal if you want particular apps, because most apps are available in both Android and iOS. Now let me know which phone you think is the better one in the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this comparison between the two phones, and I will see you next time.